The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus came down with the 12 and stood on a stretch of level ground with a great crowd of his disciples and a large number of people from all Judea and Jerusalem and the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon. And raising his eyes toward his disciples, he said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for the kingdom of God is yours. And blessed are you who are now hungry, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who are now weeping, for you will laugh. And blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude and insult you and denounce your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. For rejoice and leap for joy on that day. Behold, your reward will be great in heaven. For their ancestors treated the prophets in the same way, but woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. And woe to you who are filled now, for you will be hungry. And woe to you who laugh now, for you will grieve and weep. And woe to you when all speak well of you, for their ancestors treated the false prophets in the same way." The Gospel of the Lord. Blessed are you, and woe you don't take that blessing seriously. There's an old country song, I'm not sure the whole song, but I think the one line is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that's unfortunately true in our own society today, that we can have a tendency in our society today to kind of fall for things because we're not sure what we stand for. We're not sure what we're willing to invest in. And that kind of thinking and sorting things out and really looking for what might be truthful and helpful and then digging in on it, I don't think we're encouraged to do much of that, unfortunately. Today's reading, of course, is the version of one of the versions of the Beatitudes. And there's a point where you're sort of like, blessed are you if you do these things, and you will have them change for you. If in fact your situation is that you are poor, well then you will be someone who can inherit that kingdom, to become a part of God's reality, both in the end time, but hopefully here and now that will manifest itself in ways, the way in which we look at those things that are part of our reality, right? Hatred, insulting one another. We need to be able to pay attention to that stuff. We need to pay attention to the hungry. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the great Lutheran pastor who was involved, at least through his family members, but maybe even more directly in the resistance to Adolf Hitler, to this regime that legitimately was elected and just took and seized power bit by bit as much as they could, and nobody said anything and nobody did anything. So he was able to manipulate a democracy at the time in Germany into his own little tyrannical reality. And Bonhoeffer joined his family members and others in the resistance. It cost him his life. He wrote his famous book, The Cost of Discipleship. But I think Bonhoeffer also spent some time looking at these Beatitudes, and he kept saying, are these ideals that we're to shoot for, or are they something we really need to accomplish? We need to be merciful. We need to be able to understand how to met out justice and how to be that person who can live this life of integrity. Is it some ideal that we should strive for, never getting there, or are these real things that we can accomplish? I think he eventually landed on that idea that these are things we need to do. We need to pay attention to the poor and take care of them. We need to talk and understand what causes hunger and go on the list, peacemaking and everything else. And I think what he ultimately landed on, which is I think what you and I are taught by Jesus, is to have this idea that we put forth our good effort, and joined to our good effort is God's grace, the power of God's grace, something beyond us. What exactly it is and exactly how does it come to us, we don't know, but when we get it, we know it. If it's there, we can accept it as a gift and move with it, let it work in our lives. And if we do that, then we're going to be able to, like these Beatitudes, start to identify some real issues around us, and then get the empowerment, individually and collectively, to speak up, to be present, and to live this reign of God's love, this beautiful, blessed way of life that is taught to you and to me, these beatitudes. And so, friends, I think today's gospel is just challenging you and I to look around at our world. Where do you see people who are hateful, who are denying what belongs to those in need? And are you willing to let God's grace help you see what you need to do, what we need to do, what I need to do, all of us? And are you willing to let that grace empower you to live your Christian life? It really is that simple. There's a way in which you and I need to be able to do that, and to be able to be honest with ourselves, both about these Beatitudes as not just ideals, but quite possible with God, with God's grace. And then look for the ways in which we can accept that grace. I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm saying it's real. So friends, let us go into this week, because there's plenty in our world right now where lots of systems are being manipulated, blown up, annihilated, whatever you want to call it. Lots of things are just being thrown out there nilly-willy to either confuse us or just get us to think again. That's fine. I'm open to that. But at the end, we have to sort this out ourselves. At the end, we have to decide, what do I believe in? What do I stand for? Because if I just keep swimming around in all of this and say, maybe, I don't know. If we keep not standing for something, especially these kinds of values that Jesus teaches us, especially through the Beatitudes, if we don't stand with that, for that, we will fall for all kinds of nonsense. And our lives will be manipulated and corrupted. Our thinking will be perverse. So friends, I think it's something we need to do, and only we can do it for ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. Don't let anybody tell you what your thinking ought to be and your ethics ought to be. Your conscience is yours. We need to, like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and maybe we need to go see that new biopic on him. I don't know, it's a new film. Maybe we need to look at our own conscience and our own times and do that work for ourselves as he did. And know that these Beatitudes are not just ideals, they're real values that we can live in imperfect but real ways, here and now, by our effort and God's grace, my friends. God bless.